Okay, so there we go. Third episode. Good morning, everybody, says Mr. Tarun. Thank you, Mr. Tarun. Good morning. Should we begin the show that we deserve? Can you hear me? Let's just send a message on WhatsApp and then we shall start. Yeah, perfect. I am properly visible, right? Everywhere. Yeah. Okay. So if I'm audible, let me know. We will begin without delay, right? So yeah, message sent on WhatsApp. I'll just check myself on LinkedIn. Good morning. Yeah, I am audible on LinkedIn. So without further ado, but wait for a minute to more people to join. Hi, yes, audible. Bum bum bum. Yeah, we need to start, Mr. Tarun, because it's already 8:08, right? And we are a bit late. That rhymed involuntarily. And let's begin. Bum 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 bum. Good morning, Mr. Patil. Bum 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 bum. It's never less funny, right? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thinker's Frequency. We're having such a good time. This is the peak of human civilization. We're working so hard, doing such good work for ourselves, our parents, our kids, our siblings, our husbands, our wives, our friends, everybody. Well, not other people's husbands and wives, I hope. And just when we thought things couldn't get any better, like they couldn't possibly get any better, well, they just did. Call it divine intervention, folks, but things just got a whole lot better. Now we have Thinker's Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis which don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in. So let's continue with our journey of reading between the lines, things that are especially interesting and important in the world of business and finance. Let's go! Oh, but before we go, we gotta follow a tradition, right? Can't let the tradition go. The sweet and sacred tradition of the simultaneous sip. We'll all sip something together and it'll bring us good luck, as it always does, without fail, every day. And all you need for the simultaneous sip is a copper mug, a glass, a tank, a chalice, a stein, a canteen jug, a flask, or a vessel of any kind. Pour it with your favorite liquid. I'm having water with black pepper in it. And here we go. Ah, beautiful. Sublime. You know what the simultaneous sip says, right? You know what it says? You remember what it says, right? It says that you are not alone. It says that we are in this together. It's such a beautiful thing to say. With that out of the way, let's begin. So TPG is parting up the chip company Tessolve with a $150 million bet. That is a minority stake sale. So viewers of Thinkers Frequency might remember we talked about Tessolve, which is a hero electronics company essentially, and the news was that these people were getting acquired. They were selling a majority stake to a private equity player, And if you remember, we had said, why would they do that, right? The company has some good numbers, $200 million in revenue, 40 million in EBITDA. And we were like, semiconductor play, why would you let it go right now, right? It doesn't make sense for a company to exit the semiconductor play like Hero Electronics. It's by Sumankant Munjal sir. So Sumant Kant Munjal sir is the brother of, let's say, Sunil Kant Munjal sir, Pawan Munjal sir, and so on. So Hero, the group has it's a second generation empire right now. The first generation was Brij Mohan Lal Munjal sir, OP Munjal sir, Dayanand Munjal sir, and so on and so forth. And then came Pawan Munjal sir, Sunil Kant Munjal sir. So OP Munjal group is the Hero Cycles group. Brij Mohan Lal Munjal group is the Hero Motor Corp group, and then there are ancillary industries and so on and so forth. So, a book you could read, a very good book, is Four Brothers and a Revolution That Shaped a Nation. It's basically the biography of Brij Mohan Lal Munjal sir and the group, Hero Group, through the eyes of Sunil Kant Munjal sir, the son of Mr. Brij Mohan Lal Munjal. So a good book. But the point is that Hero Electronics is essentially uh, not selling out. Making of the hero, says Mr. Mittal. Thank you so much. Yeah, making of the hero, four brothers that shaped a revolution. That's the book. But anyway, great book. Very very insightful book. Terrific book. Uh, Not a literary book. So if you come to me, hey Nishant, you said it was a great book. Don't expect like a literary kind of a book. It's not written that way, but it's a very very good story, an extremely interesting story, and extremely, like, it's basically a movie, right? It's just a movie, written a bit. There are a bit of rough edges as far as the writing is considered, but terrific stuff. Anyway, so they are not selling out. That's what we had discussed at Thinkers Frequency. That why would they sell out? Uh, this particular play, Tessol, semiconductor play. It's just beginning. They have some hold in that industry. The right now the whole semiconductor industry in the country is in embryonic stages, and they have an early action to the story. Why would they let it go? So they're not letting it go. That news was essentially, we were right to be skeptical of that news. TPG has come out with a $150 million scene, right? Basically, Advent was looking at acquiring the majority stake. That's not going to happen anymore. Uh, Good news, I guess, right? By the way, Suman Kant Munjal sir is also one of the investors, early investors of Atomberg, the fan company, very popular on social media. Its founder, I'm forgetting the name, but shares good insights, great insights. Moving on. FMCG giants to cut prices to reclaim lost ground. So we've been talking about that. FMCG giants, the incumbents like HUL and all of these players, they've been losing out. They've been losing out on two fronts. One is the macro front. Macro front is the consumption problem, right? That India is not consuming as much as it should, basically. So there's a slide of a consumption issue, the domestic demand issue, which was causing problem, and then there was another macro problem, which was the input cost problem. So FMCG companies, the giants, the incumbents, were facing two macro problems, and then a micro problem, then a regional problem, because of the whole D2C wave, because of the whole new age FMCG companies mushrooming up, right? These people were losing that market as well. So as far as the chip market is considered, like the banana chips have become a rage. Now these people didn't have a product in that line. Makhana chips have become a rage. These people didn't have a product in that. And it's just an example, a couple of examples. So you can guess, right? When these people are fighting a two front war, they were essentially losing out on both macro and micro play. Now they are trying to fight back. They are trying to cut prices, rationalizing the operations a bit, and so on and so forth, so that they can lose ground, and so that they can take on the lost ground. And They are also trying to look at new product lines. Some acquisitions have also happened, of course. Marico acquired Beardo back in 2016, 17, 18, I guess. Then a lot of HUL acquired Minimalist, and so on and so forth. So these companies are also looking at acquisition. But to answer Mr. Tiwari's question, is D2C a big competition to FMCG now? Of course, right? D2C always existed in the tranches. So it was basically a small, very small segment, right? Small brands always used to exist. However, what happened with D2C and venture capital is that they got a lot of money, and they got the whole D2C wave happened, right? The whole Thrasio wave, the bubble that formed. Now that armed a bunch of very good players as well, and who could sustain the fight. So this is why you are seeing FMCG companies rolling now. I think it's very, very good that these FMCG companies are actually getting that kind of fight, because if you look at their product mix, right, it's the least innovative or innovation driven product mix ever. We are eating the same biscuits that have been going on for like 30 years. Does that say anything? Like these guys were the last to adopt any kind of change in the diet. They were never they never cared about health. They just sold what sold, and they just kept selling it. you know they just kept the wheel turning. That was the only play. Incremental progress, never incubated new products. You can give credit to ITC. The only company which actually looked at it that way was ITC, because it was trying to deleverage the whole tobacco business. It wanted to diversify as an FMCG player. So if you look at the beverage market, they had some sort of a natural line where fruit juices went on. But other than that, these people just kept selling the same products uh, forever. And they would have sold the same products if not for the newfound competition. Because our regulation, we don't have a make America healthy again movement in India right now. We do. We've been trying. If you look at, this is a very interesting discussion, by the way. FMCG in US is changing a lot. The red dyes have been banned. Coca-Cola is using the cane sugar juice instead of the whole thing. They're really changing, right? Salt, sugar, and fat ratings, and so on and so forth. Now, India is also trying that. That there is Shri Anaj. Shri Anaj is basically diversifying from wheat and moving on to millets and all these high fiber, high protein kind of, what are they called? Like grains. So Indian regulation and Indian government hasn't really put down the hammer on these guys like the Make America Healthy Again movement has, right? And these guys have never changed. So I'll be very happy if these people get dethroned by these new age players, and then new people come with new energy, or they should adapt. But the thing is that there's something in the market because it's too big to fail, right? These people have been like so big, they are so deep in the market that don't expect any revolution, right? No kranti for now, but yeah, uh, some fight at least, right? That's why I was also very, very happy when Haldirams came in the fold, right? Fresh energy, of course, 100-year-old company, but fresh energy in that scale, right? And it brought a lot of innovations, new products to the fray, which these people would never do. So good, good, good. That's happening. Moving on. Fitch has retained its triple B negative rating for India. So S&P's had upgraded India from a triple B negative to triple B, which was a great news. Indian financial markets, everybody was very happy. There was laughter, there was joy, and there were songs of good times. Well, I was just trying humor, but Fitch didn't really do that. Fitch says that there's still problems as far as the country is considered, triple B negative, although things are improving. But GDP per capita is an issue, and so on and so forth. They've outlined that the state and center debt is pretty solid, and even though the fiscal deficit and it's getting reined in, you might just expect it to sort of blow up, not blow up, but sort of spill over in the FY29 zone. So they are not really upgrading us, which is sad. So S&P is the biggest. Then there is Fitch, there's Moody's. So these three people are the rating agencies, right? Which decide a lot of money flow, by the way. So if Fitch would have gone positive, India would have been very happy, and there would have been another fresh, let's say, what can we call it? A fresh wave as far as the Indian markets are considered, the stock markets and also the investment markets. But we're gonna make do with the one good news we got from the rating agencies. Moving on. Uh, Amid US trade stress, PM says pressure won't break India's resolve. So this is officially, let's say, nail in the coffin for my personal prediction that I had laid out. I had said that US attack on India, the tariff play, will lead to Russia getting arm twisted, and Russia will essentially look at stopping the war because India is getting hurt. And if India stops Russians' oil imports and refining of them, Russia is going to lose out on a very, very big client. And if that happens, Russia will essentially stop the war. That's what I had predicted. Later, it came out that that was indeed the intention. Right now, Vice President J.D. Vance is saying that this is what we are doing. It's an aggressive play. I'll tell you his exact words. We'll come to that. But it's an aggressive nudge for Russia to stop the war, basically hurting India. Unfortunately, that hasn't worked out. PM is clear. Pressure won't resolve is the rhetoric. Russia is clear. They are not stopping war. They're on the spree, right? So it's business as usual, with the only let's say collateral damage being our country and what's going on. So what I've learned with this particular play, we are in the business of looking into the future, right? And that's why we do this. We want to look into the future. We want to make predictions. We want to see them come through. That's what all this is about. What I've learned is that a lot of time we over-index rationality. Okay, so rationality means that you look at a situation, and you look at an incident, and you look at the rational response to that incident. Okay, and and then you think that this is a more probable option, or this is the more probable outcome, and then you weigh out the prediction. So even if you remember, like when I was thinking about it, I was like, very tough to predict, very tough to predict, but this is more likely to happen. Why? Because it's more rational that way. However, the world is not rational, people are not rational, and if people are not rational, people think that, oh, people are not rational, people are whatever they are, they behave irrationally, but somehow companies are supposed to be rational, somehow countries are supposed to be rational. No, it doesn't happen like that. Whatever happens at small scale just happens at big scale as far as countries are considered, right? So if people are irrational, countries can also be irrational, and countries are irrational. That's why our prediction got screwed. Anyway, this is the prime time to overhaul the manufacturing sector laws so real innovation can happen and not only big corporations playing the game, says Mr. Tarun. Which is exactly what the government is trying to do. We'll come to that. But yeah, that prediction didn't work out. So, should I apologize? I mean, we're just keeping track here, right? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball to gaze into the future. But yeah, that didn't work out. I was expecting something, but really nothing happened. Like Russia met him, everything happened, and they just kept on the fight, which is which is weird. Moving on, Dream 11 won't challenge the real money gaming ban. They say that we're not going to litigate the past. We're going to look into the future. We have a lot of money in the bank, a few years, and so on and so forth. The company from an IPO stage has been pushed back to uh, Series B stage, says the founder, Mr. Jain. He is, and they're going to use some sort of fantasy games with ad based payouts, and then they're going to look at wealth tech. They're looking at gold loans, and other kind of loans and so on and so forth. So maybe they pivot into different directions, and so because they have the money, right? Dream 11 games 24/7, all of these companies, they have the money. So they'll obviously have to find a new direction, and that new direction will obviously not be as green as real money betting. But these companies, let's look at what happens. So people ask them, what about your BCCI, you know uh, this thing endorsement deal, and they're like, oh, that obviously goes away, and so on and so forth. FPI exit takes heavy toll on financial and IT stocks. Now this prediction has been right. We've been right when it comes to this particular prediction. FPIs have been exiting the IT and financial stocks like crazy. $34,000 worth of exit. We'll come to the numbers later. Now, this is something that we could be proud of because we've been talking about this for over 90 days now, and exactly what we've been saying has panned out, right? Exactly what we talked about: the banking sector, net interest margin play, that happened. We talked about the IT sector, how it's gonna get a little shaken up. It's not looking green, not in the midterm, not in the long term, and definitely not in the short term. So a lot of people were issuing buy calls when it came to IT stocks, right? We said stay away. We were right, and some people are still issuing buy calls, but they should get like a Pradhan Mantri Bahaduri Puraskar, because all the problems that can happen to IT have not yet happened. So it's possible that something very, very big starts happening as far as the whole ecosystem is considered, which is not getting factored in by these players. So we were very right with banking, we were very right with IT, and that's exactly what's shaping up. Overseas fund managers stepped in up the selling of Indian equities in the first half of August as tariff uncertainty, a weak rupee, and disappointing corporate earnings. Financial services and information technology stocks, which have the highest weight in the Sensex, bore the brunt of foreign investors' cautious approach. Yesterday, only a few brokers gave a buy on IT. So, earlier, 10 years ago, when I used to look at those brokerage calls, I used to be like, okay, thanks. Okay, let's look into the future. But then what happened is I started observing what really happened as far as the whole calls and thing is considered. Just let me show you something, okay? Just for historical perspective, can you see something? Do you see this? Uh, I don't know how much can you see. Oh, sorry, I'll have to. I'm moving the laptop camera, but let me turn this around, and I don't know. Let me just show. So this particular, you know, what you see is like last year and last to last year's economic times. Now, why do I keep them? You know, I just keep them to track how perception and reality changes, right? So, did you see that? There's a huge bunch of papers which is still with me, and I just keep that to sort of pull in the past. Now I can obviously keep the online archive. However, that doesn't work out. I have the dates sorted, and I keep it. And if I've read it completely, only then I throw. So these are some this is some material which I haven't read as yet. So I really track it, and when I look at the brokerage calls, a lot of them make sense, but most of them don't. Right? Most of them are just noise, which is why we start doing this. Right? We basically read between the lines and uh, focus on what's not the noise. Focus on the signal. Kabadiwala wants to know your location. For Kabadiwala, obviously, says Mr. Tarun Antiwari. But no, it actually works. So if you pick out like a paper from a year ago and you start reading it, and you figure out, okay, this is what was happening, and so on and so forth, right? So I'm yet to actually finish. I keep reading something from the past just to, just for history perspective. Moving on, wherever the deal is best, India will buy oil envoy to Russia. Moving on, India dodges China Japan issues over World War II. Japan urges countries to skip China's September 3 parade, marking 80th anniversary of end of the World War. So that is you know. Uh, so there's a historical perspective as far as the China and Japan war is considered. The Tiananmen Square parade will commemorate what Beijing calls its victory in 1937 to 45 war of resistance against Japanese aggression. So China and Japan have a very very weird history. Japan was essentially a colonizer for China uh, in the earlier times. Now that particular bit is history, of course, and you know that is still a very very what's the figure of speech for that? A lump in somebody's throat or something of that sort. Yeah. So India is carefully dodging those equations. Moving on. Moving on. Smartphone companies dial up discounts and new models to boost festive sales. We've discussed, viewers of Thinkers Frequency would remember, smartphone sales have been very static in India for like about 3 years. No growth, 150 million, 151, 150, 151, 152 kind of a stale. Many brands hike retailer margins, move to short product life cycles amid huge stock pileups. Now, there is a huge inventory, and they're not stocking the new inventory because they have unsold inventory from the last year, right? So, a lot of problems as far as the whole smartphone sales are considered, and they're really hoping that something happens as far as this particular festive season is considered. The industry was showing some signs of revival by like 7% growth in some segments, but it's not really a permanent or something like a prominent green shoot at the moment. It's gonna look at 45 festive season volumes expected to be flat around 45 to 46 million, right? Which is just the usual. And what the government has been trying to do is making sure that something good happens, which is why the whole income tax 12 lakh exemption, and then the rate reduction, and then GST rationalization, everything is happening. So let's see if something clicks as far as the whole smartphone sales are considered. I believe now, this is again a prediction, that these people could be pleasantly surprised. So that's the prediction. Let's see what happens, right? Footloose and visa-free Indians chase global views, says a report. Now, India's passport allows 59 countries to actually, you know, travel without visa. Visa in advance, 59 countries, and India's ranking for visa has come up to 77 from 85, and this is leading to a lot of traffic to some countries like Malaysia. Malaysia is amongst the top countries. 1 lakh people visited Malaysia, by the way, a very big number. Thailand grew by 32%. Indonesia recorded 21%. uh, you know uh, Sri Lanka 33%, Nepal 64%, Indonesia 21%. So that's what's happening. Indian Commission in Kuala Lumpur has warned that several Indians have been denied entry to Malaysia because their lack of funds, proof of stay, and so on and so forth. So a lakh visitors. What's the timeline of these lakh visitors? Let me confirm that. Yeah, uh, around 1 lakh plus Indians visit the country every month. Now, that's huge, right? 1 lakh visitors are going to Malaysia every month, which is not a small number. And this particular thing, you know what the problem is with this trend. Now, this is obviously a good trend that Indians are going abroad, and if it's all going well. Indian tourism, the domestic tourism, starts taking a beating because it starts looking bad instantly. So let's say if what every month, really, Mr. Tiwari, yeah, I was shocked as well. That's why I wanted to specially point out that number. 1 lakh rich Indians going to Malaysia every month. Now, it could be business travel, but these people are talking about, yeah. So, what I was saying was, uh, now, when so many Indians get exposed to foreign travel, right, and very, very in a sudden way, it's not a gradual rise, right? It's a sudden rise. It's an exponential rise. Suddenly, the Indian tourism, domestic tourism, starts looking very bad, very bad. As Mr. Tarun says, affordable scenic views, right? People appreciate the sidewalks and so on and so forth. People start going to Vietnam and they're like, how is this country so clean? And how is this like so good? Why is India such a shithole, right? Now that kind of thing starts kicking in as far as the whole domestic travel is considered, because there used to be a great deterrence for Indians to visit abroad, visit overseas for leisure travel because of the whole visa thing and also the flight rates. Now everything has come down, and since there is no delta, people are like, why go to Goa? Let's go to Vietnam, right? And with that, it becomes difficult for the country to actually keep its domestic tourism play as it was. Now, that's not what's written here, but that's what we do, right? Read between the lines. Hate for our Babu rises after foreign travel return. Yeah. So one of my connections, Mr. Shailesh Vikram Singh, uh, he wrote a very good article that this could be a very big pivotal moment. This is like internet for travel, right? Because you get exposed to so much, and then you come back to India, and then it becomes a big problem, right? It becomes a big problem. You're like a culture shock. Even a country like Vietnam, if you go there and you come back to India and you're like, oh my god, yeah. So that's what happens. Moving on. Rising stress in MSME and vehicle loans worry banks, NBFCs. So we've been talking about how some loans have started showing some provisioning issues, right? We already talked about microfinance. That particular bit is not that great right now. The MSME loans are also not that pretty. So the provisioning has been going up as far as those loans are considered. Payments are an issue, over leveraging, slowing demand, threatening asset quality. Some numbers: 22% of MSME borrowers hold 3 to 5 active loans. 3 to 5 active loan, raising over leveraging loans. So this is obviously a problem when just one borrower has 3 to 5 active loans. Something is wrong, right? And when there's 22.5% of such borrowers, then you know that some the shit is real, right? So that is a little scary. However, the PAR is essentially a portfolio at risk. Portfolio at risk is just 20 basis points higher. PAR from loans due stood at 4.2 at end of March, a slight improvement for 4.5 earlier. So PAR is getting slightly better, so it's not that big of a deal. However, if you look at a number, uh, portfolio at risk in the unsecured loans business increased by 20 basis points, right? The unsecured loans 20 basis point up. However, the MSME play 4.2 instead of 4.5. So not a very alarming situation, but it seems like MSMEs have figured out that they should also be playing the banks like the big guys do, right? We talked about it. Just look at the story. So GMR is running Delhi airport, right? IGI airport, the busiest country airport. Now it had a debt, right? And that debt was coming to maturity. They had some payments that were to be on. Bullet repayments of October 2026 and June 2027 and June 2029, right? 3,400 crores, 1,000 crores and 3,500 crores. A lot of repayments. And what is GMR doing, right? What do companies do in such situations? They essentially refinance that debt, right? So they have a debt, they take another debt to pay that debt, and then they keep that debt rolling. Okay, a part of that debt. Now, if you look at the particular thing which we discussed as far as the MSMEs are considered, like they have a debt, they use another debt to pay back that debt, and then they keep that debt rolling. Isn't it very similar? Obviously, it's not. There is a lot of complications and a lot of nuances as far as that scale and this scale are considered. However, fundamentally, philosophically, MSMEs are playing banks like the big guys do. BPCL plans to invest up to 95,000 crores in refinery in Andhra Pradesh. $12 billion dollars going to Andhra Pradesh refinery. Retail sales rising, refining margins, petrol sales up, diesel sales broadly flat. Moving on. Radisson sees growth in India. Radisson is saying that we will grow in India. We have a brand of Sarovar hotels and so on and so forth. That's gonna go up, and they say that Radisson as a brand offers a better franchising opportunity because our revenue rate is better than our peers. So we offer a better revenue rate, and even we are also working on the profitability bit. So the hotel owners that take choose us make a better revenue, and then they can also think about easier profitability norms. So they're talking about investing, and they're talking about capturing the market. Radisson hotel chains, this is third story in that domain, right? IHCL was one, ITC hotels was second. Radisson is this is the branded hotel play. 2 lakh rooms right now. Then there was also talks about homestays, easing homestays regulatory environment, and yeah, so it's a fourth story in the row. Helps to track. Uniqlo is looking at a target of 3,000 crore rupee sales in 3 years. Uniqlo is the Japanese retail brand. They're looking at 1 trillion yen, that is $68 billion of revenues overall. Right now they are one third. So 3 trillion yen must be at like $20 billion in revenues. They're looking at growing. Indian market is clicking. For Japanese apparel major Uniqlo, yeah, 1,000 crore in 2025, 3,000 crore in the next 3 years. So they're really looking at going fast. Auto dealers seek early rollout of GST GST rules. If domestic, Mr. Tiwari asks a very smart question. If domestic tourism is at risk, what are the use of hotel room expansion? What's the use of hotel room expansion? Now, Mr. Tiwari, the earlier story, that is 1 lakh visitors going to Malaysia. Let's say, even if a million people are going every month, and there's some overlap. So even if 10 lakh people are going abroad, right? And they are the creme de la creme kind of people, and they're going abroad. It doesn't mean that the entire market, tourism is like a $20 billion play right now, right? That we are a 140 crore company, country, right? These people are looking at a much bigger play, and also these people are hoping that things get better in India. So that is a hope, right? That is a consistent hope. Now, while that's a very smart question, I also feel that the whole domestic tourism play is kind of a difficult sell, right? Kind of a difficult sell, because India is essentially a dump, unfortunately, right? I am like a very patriotic guy. I'm here. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'm doing my best to build in India, but it's the fact, right? There's a lot of dirt. People feel very proud to actually throw whatever they want to throw everywhere, right? And so domestic tourism, the rise that we are positioning, I don't buy it. Yeah. Moving on. Vikasit Bharat 2047, new mining law on cards. Company. Mr. Tiwari says it would be good if we were a 140 crore company. Yeah. Let's hope, let's hope. We have this Hindu saying, right? Ki zaban pe Saraswati hoti at some part of the day. Let's hope when I said that it comes true, right? So new mining law on cards. We talked about this. They've been trying to change the mining law to incorporate what? You remember what they've been trying to incorporate, right? What must be the mining law change for? What's the one of the most important things as far as the whole mining law change is considered? Hint, it has a lot to do with what we've discussed in the earlier episodes as far as mining and some sort of, I won't say because then I'll give it away. Self-reliance on what, Mr. Taran? On what? Rare earths. Mr. Tiwari is right. So it's basically critical minerals, which need some sort of. So mining trust was issued. They had like 1,000 crore corpus, which got increased to 3,500 crores, which was essentially for critical minerals, rare earths mining overseas, and even as far as this country is concerned, they're looking at changing and improving the law, so they could actually, move forward, which is obvious. Moving on. Law changes are also happening as far as CBDT is considered, IT returns filing. They're basically making it the tax deduction at source TDS thing a little simpler, and so on and so forth. They're trying to, uh, you know, as we discussed, they're trying to make it easy, right? Speaking of easy, they are also trying to make it available from to shift from NPS, UPS, Universal Pension Scheme, to National Pension Scheme, which is like a one-time switch, irreversible. So a lot of things are happening as far as this, new, or let's say streamlining the legal paradigm for the next phase of growth of the country, right? We already talked about 355 laws getting decriminalized, sorry, offenses getting decriminalized, and they're talking about taking it up to 1,300. That means they're looking at 1,000 more offenses to be decriminalized. Why? So that unnecessary litigation doesn't happen and somebody else makes money instead of just, you know who, right? You know who. Instead of just, you know who. Uh, yeah, FPIs continue to sell in August. We discussed about that, right? Mm-hmm. I hope I'm not missing anything. Chinese stock euphoria. The answer was lawyers, by the way. Instead of the lawyers, somebody else also needs to make money, right? Chinese stock euphoria spreads as turnover tops 430 billion. CSI 300 surges 2.1% on Monday. Investors see more upside. Now, this is also the reason why FPIs are continuing to sell in India, right? Because a lot of other markets are looking very pretty. They're starting to look pretty, right? US is looking pretty, China is looking pretty, and so on and so forth. That's why FPIs are essentially taking the money out from the Indian markets, because the upside here seems a little bleak in comparison. Now, this is what happens, right? In order for India, this is the reality of the world and trade in general, right? In order for India to win, unfortunately, somebody will have to look bad, right? Otherwise, the money will just flow outside, right? That's what's happening. Chinese stocks are really up. People are talking about some bubble formation and so on and so forth, but they've been saying that for like 20 years, 21 years. So let's move forward. China is very solid. Crypto futures are flourishing beneath the radar. Uh, you know, Obviously, crypto is rallying because of Trump and everything that Trump is doing as far as the whole crypto play is considered. And futures are also going up in the local exchanges. Trading becomes profitable and low tax outgo. But the thing is that it's not really regulated as of now properly, right? So anything can happen as far as this is considered. Now, India's stance on crypto was pretty clear. We wanted to avoid it. We wanted it taxed to death. We didn't want any part of it. It was clear. But then came Trump, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna lead to, like, I'm gonna unleash crypto. Okay, I'm gonna unleash crypto," and that happened. And when he came, he started unleashing crypto. Now every reserve bank is also, every regulator, every government is also having to reevaluate its stance. Now the question is, why would Trump, say that? Is it a financial reason or is it what? Now this is a very smart political move. As a political move, just consider having very motivated, like a couple of million people, like who are almost like a cult, right? Suddenly they flip to you. That's what things are as far as this whole play is considered. Smart political move, but also great ramifications. He has a crypto company as well. It's not him, but yeah, his family. the Trump crypto investment. Now, very importantly, this confirms everything that we keep talking about, right? We say that outcomes in businesses are mostly the result of political will, right? Indian government shunned crypto. All the crypto companies just basically disappeared. US embraced crypto, and now India might just follow. And if India follows, all those companies will come back. Entrepreneurs don't matter, policies as much as policies do. Moving on, seize the opportunity, invest boldly, says the RBI governor. You know, RBI governor is saying that hey, there's no record low inflation, strong fiscal position, and solid corporate balance sheet should lead the industry to invest boldly and champion the entrepreneurial spirit. Now, this is once again in the direction that we keep talking about. India's biggest problem, apart from domestic consumption, is what? Can you say that? What is India's biggest problem when you look at Indian economy? What is Indian economy's biggest problem? Right? We know it. We've talked a lot about this. Uh, Come on, you gotta say it quickly, please. Right? No, not manufacturing, Mr. Tarun. Private capex. Private capex, right? These are the two issues that we deal with. Private capex, Mr. Tiwari, you're right. So that is what RBI is saying, that you've got to look at that, champion the entrepreneurial spirits. Fiscal condition is good, rates are low, inflation is low. Just start investing already, right? There's no tussle between regulated entities trying to accelerate growth and regulators focusing on stability. Banks must also push frontiers of growth and seize the opportunities that are coming. India Inc. must also contribute by investing boldly. I urge the industry and some of the leading lights to invest boldly and champion entrepreneurial spirit. So basically, they are just begging India Inc. to start investing, right? To start making private capex announcements. Do not hold the money as they've been doing. Do not keep the money in the bank, right? And observe what's happening, and do it only when it's like a no-brainer. Just move forward, and it'll lead to positive upward spirals, right? We've been talking a lot about that, and all the moves that the government has been making have been in this direction. They want the private capex to go up. They want the investments to go up, uh, which will bring jobs, which will lead to more domestic consumption, and so on, and so on, and so on. Uh, let's see how much of this happens, by the way. Moving on. Exporters rush to clear US orders ahead of tariff deadline. Well, that isn't surprising at all. There's a $20 billion, 20,000 crore worth of gem and jewelry exported each year. 22% rise in India's exports to US in April, July. Now, what is this? We've talked a lot about this. What is this happening? This is called front loading. This is called front loading. When this happens in a couple of months, or let's say in a couple of weeks, you'll see good news. But that's not good news. That's just front loading, right? These people send everything they can right now to avoid the troubles of the future. And then after those troubles have hit, the numbers will look good, because that's what it is, right? And then the bad news will get delayed later, because then the next 3 months will show that, oh, these particular months have a bad shipment, right? And then when those months get consolidated in financial reports, and those reports come out like 3.5 months later, right? 15 days, 20 days later, then you will see the bad news. But since we are here, we can look into the future, right? It's an easy way of seeing the future. Moving on. The World Leaders Forum is making a lot of news, of course, because so many good people, so many big people, Mr. Modi, Mr. Tharoor, everybody is here. And I need to point out something said by Mr. Sabyasachi. Now, we discussed his interview, if you remember, a big interview he did, and I really liked it. Some of the stuff that he said was very smart. But the headline that these people have taken out is soft power is actually our hard power, and the verdict on that is no, no. Soft power is soft power, hard power is hard power. Soft power cannot be hard power. That's the truth, right? But other than that, there's talks about cybersecurity, that AI needs to be used. A lot of this is generic stuff, but very important, because as somebody says, CEO Times of India Group, economies are shaped by talks at this forum, right? Which is not an exaggeration, not an aggrandizement. It is the truth. Policies are shaped, economies are shaped by, or let's say, uh, economies. You can know where the economy is going if you listen to these conversations, right? You will know where things are going. So Japan is looking to invest more in India. We discussed that. India will be a AI powerhouse soon, says the CEO of Boston Consulting Group, which is a lie. And yeah, aligning talent and infra policy key for leadership. Very generic. Moving on. Okay. Moving on from the thing. Offshore betting sites cash in as RMG ban hit local companies retreat. Now, this is lazy journalism. This is not true journalism. They're saying platforms like Parimatch, XBet pulling in numbers, busy pulling in punters. Well, they're always busy pulling in punters. The unspoken rule is that the folks that Dream 11 and the folks that real money gaming players bring in, they are not the pro betters. Okay, they are the, let's say, uh, the the weak links of the system. Okay, so the fact that, oh, these people are pulling in numbers, that's just a lie. uh, Even before these people were legal, the market was divided into two areas. One was the legal players, which was for suckers, and the real punters were always doing the illegal show. Now, that is not said here, but that is the truth. As far as the reality is, that is the core reality. The real punters, the real illegal gamblers who are mobilizing a lot of money, they were always going to the illegal route, because no tax, right? Why would they pay like a 28% tax on deposits? Why would they like doing that, right? They won't. So this was never an avenue for them. But yes, of course, some of the weaklings will also try to shift to the illegal play more. However, this particular concern is over indexed, right? India, a must win mobility market for Uber, says CEO Dara Shikov. Uh, Dara, sorry, Shikov. Dara Shikov was the part of the Mughal play, right? The real name is Dara Khosrow Shahi. Khosrow Shahi. Very difficult name. Yeah, so Dara basically said, Mr. Dara, that India is a must win market. But he also said something very interesting. Our chief rival now is no longer Ola, but it's actually Rapido. Now, that is huge. And he said that India is a must win market for us, not just for right now, but for the next 10 years. Can you guess why he said that? Can you guess why he said that not just right now, but the next 10 years? Right? Because Uber is going to get screwed in the home market badly because of the rise of robo taxi and all. Right? Uber will be basically a licensor of a licensee of these technologies, right? So its core will essentially go away. And it's going to be a big trouble. But the robo taxi thing, the self-driving taxi thing, might not be great for what India is as a fertile market, right? So India might not just prove to be that great a ground as far as this whole core change of business is considered. The self-driving taxis might not be huge in India for obvious reasons. So that's why India is extremely important for Uber. And now that it's making some money outside, it'll at no cost lose out on India, right? Which is obviously bad news for Ola. But Mr. Bhavesh Agrawal is a champion, right? When Ola became, he pumped up Ola. When Ola started showing signs of stress, he just bailed out on Ola, started building Ola Electric, right? When Ola Electric started showing signs of stress, he just bailed out on Ola Electric, started building Krutrim. Like if tomorrow, if John Travolta trend comes back, right, disco and white pants and white shirts and so on and so forth, and people start going to the disco and dancing, I'm sure Mr. Bhavish Agrawal will dress up as Mithun Chakravarti and remake Disco Dancer, right? That's the champion he is. But let's see what Ola does as far as this particular play is considered. Very difficult time for the company, of course. Moving on. Qatar's fund going to the court, 235 million. Byju's is a perpetual newsmaker as far as the court cases are considered. By the way, my interview with Sanjeev Bichandani sir, it also had a very interesting facet as far as integrity of founders is considered. That I believe is going to be huge. That particular bit, as far as that interview is considered, might just get picked by all the business newspapers there are, right? Because it was just phenomenal, and he hasn't said that before, right? So I'm looking forward to the interview coming out sometime soon. Moving on. Elon Musk is suing Apple and OpenAI for making things non-competible. So non-compete clause picking up. AI-led layoffs here to say, says a new trend report by layoffs.fyi, which track employee retrenchments globally. Jobs have been lost since the beginning of year as companies are looking at AI. Middle management and freshers are going away. Middle management and freshers. What is left? Right? 2022, we had 6 lakh fresher hirings. 2022, 23, we had 2 lakh 30,000 fresher hirings. 2024, we had 1 lakh 50,000 fresher hirings. And right now we are at 2 lakhs. So this is 25. So 6 lakh, 2 lakh 30, 1 lakh 50. So that's what we've been talking about, right? So that's what we've been saying. Gen AI is driving faster startup growth, a lot of money being invested by companies, in companies, and also these companies are quickly being able to generate revenues. So earlier, there's an interesting number here. Pre-AI, the gold standard for an enterprise startup was hitting 1 in million annual revenue, ARR, within its first year. Okay, now today an average AI company is clocking 2.1 million in such time frame. So 1 million in ARR in 1 year. Now it's 2.1 million. That is where AI is going. A lot of news as far as AI play is considered. YouTube recently, what they started doing was they are using AI to sort of edit videos that have been uploaded on the platform already to make them pretty, to sound them pretty, and make them sound pretty, look pretty. But that didn't work out for a lot of people, so they had to basically reverse it. But yeah, a lot of upscale the shorts, says Mr. Tarun. You're right. So they basically moved away from that. We've talked about what Tesla did in China. It's tied up with DeepSeek, for the China EVs because of whatever the condition is. So just imagine how good it is going to be for the Chinese AI industry to have its local players actually proving to be the real tech providers for the major giants like Tesla, right? That unfortunately is not happening in India. And with that, we are going to come to an end, to the end of the 93rd episode of Thinker's Frequency. But before we end it, I have a very interesting thought experiment to share. They came out with a report which said that philosophy majors are better at thinking. Okay, philosophy majors are better at thinking. That was basically the research. Okay, now just imagine, and this research has been conducted by 2 philosophy majors themselves, right? Now can you find the fault in that research? I'm not asking for money for that research, right? What I'm saying is, can you find the fault in that research? Philosophy majors are good at thinking. Number one problem is that uh, where is how you mixing causation with correlation? How are you addressing causation and correlation here? Maybe the people who went to study philosophy, uh, you know, were thinkers themselves, were good thinkers themselves, and that's why they went to philosophy, right? And then you measured those philosophy majors and said that they are good thinkers, right? Because of the philosophy. So you can't say that philosophy essentially, or studying philosophy, made them better thinkers or made them better cognitive workers, right? That is the number one problem. Number two problem is that how would you measure something like that at all? How would you measure something like that at all? Like the only way you would have been, you can measure something like that is when you actually take a bunch of students who are going to study philosophy, okay, as their major, pick philosophy as their major, make half of them stop in the middle of the course or in the beginning of the course just for research purposes, and let half of them go ahead and then study the impact of philosophy in these particular set of people. That's the only way. That's the only way you can actually say that studying philosophy uh, improves, thinking and cognitive action, right? So a study on philosophy and its effect done by students who study philosophy on it and its effects uh, is basically parody level bad. Right? Now this is very very this is why how most studies are done, by the way, right? They mix causation, correlation, they muddle it all up, and make very very basic errors as far as the logic of it all is considered. And I hope you found it interesting. With that, we should come to the end of the 93rd episode of Thinker's Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis which don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in. It's 9:08, 9:09 now. We're gonna punch in anytime soon. I wish you a beautiful day personally and professionally. I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, hopefully. Have a beautiful day. I have to thank Mr. Tarun, Mr. Patil, Mr. Mittal, Mr. Tiwari, and everybody else who joined, right? I hope you enjoyed. I hope it added value to you. See you again. Bye bye.